Right now on Denver 7.
I just realized, life's so much more. We could have been there.
Virtually the whole state of Colorado is on alert tonight, with a combined 29,000 acres burning in our state.
The latest exploding this morning just outside Silverthorne, sending people packing into evacuation shelters.
And with no real relief in sight for at least a couple of days, it's just the beginning of what's expected to be a long and difficult fire season.
Denver 7 starts right now.
We begin with breaking news. The Buffalo Mountain Fire burning in Silverthorne's backyard has grown fast and hot since it sparked this morning, getting as close as a half mile from homes. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shannon Ogden.
And I'm Ann Trujillo. Tonight, more areas in Colorado are on burn restriction right now, with more fires popping up. And we have live team coverage for you coming from Silverthorne, the Durango area where the 416 fire has been burning for almost 2 weeks now. And of course, Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson will be talking about when weather might change and help crews make some progress.
And we lead things off with Denver 7's Jason Grenauer on the front lines of the Buffalo Mountain Fire. Now 91 acres, Jason.
And good evening to you. The number one priority right now, we're told, for firefighters is protecting homes, some of which are just within a few hundred feet of the flames of that Buffalo Mountain Fire, which is still sending smoke into the air here in Silverthorne. I can tell you, though, however, just within the last hour, at least from this vantage point, it looks like the amount of smoke has gotten smaller. We haven't gotten any confirmation that there's any containment from fire officials. They have told us, however, no structures have burned as of yet, and no one has been injured. Right now, 2 neighborhoods have been evacuated on Buffalo Mountain. That's more than 1,100 homes because of the threat of this fire spreading. Multiple air tankers and helicopters have been dropping slurry and water on it all day. Fire breaks and mitigation have helped keep flames away from the neighborhood so far, as many residents sit, watch, and wait to see what happens to their homes and in some cases their prized possessions.
The world's second largest library of books on the Roman grammarian Marcus Terentius Varro could go up in smoke if our house burns down.
But at this point, there is still no timetable for when Daniel or any of his neighbors are going to be able to go back to their homes. Within the next few minutes, however, there will be a public meeting here in Silverthorne between fire officials and the public, those who have been evacuated, to get an update. We will live stream that on our Denver 7 Facebook page. They've already also set up an emergency evacuation overnight shelter nearby in Frisco as this fire continues to burn behind me. Reporting live in Silverthorne, I'm Jason Grenauer, Denver 7.
All right, Jason, thank you. We also have new information about the 416 fire that's burning north of Durango tonight. It's now burned 23,378 acres. It is now 15% contained.
La Plata County and the entire San Juan National Forest is under a stage 3 fire restrictions tonight. So for one thing, that means the whole national forest is shut down, and you cannot even use a fireplace indoors without state-approved equipment.
And 2,200 homes are still under evacuation orders tonight. Denver 7's Russell Haythorne's been out in Durango for 36 hours now. He joins us now live. And Russell, it's not just the flames, the smoke is a major issue out there.
Yeah, a major health hazard, and all of this smoke you see in the sky behind me tends to settle in the valley overnight and in the morning hours, and that's a big problem for the elderly and anyone else with breathing issues. The smoke is so thick at times you can nearly cut it with a knife.
In the morning it's thick all the way up the valley.
At Durango Craft Spirits, owner Michael McCardle got a big scare this morning.
Mother-in-law just got rushed to the hospital because of breathing issues.
Doctors are telling people to leave southwestern Colorado if you have any form of severe respiratory condition.
I don't know what the smoke inhalation's going to be.
Evacuee Lori DeLeese went to the hospital this week as well. Mercy Regional in Durango is seeing a flood of smoke-related illnesses.
Not really shortness of breath, just pressure. And then my voice goes.
And while firefighting efforts are working, it's anyone's guess how long the smoke will linger.
Don't get outside. Don't do anything strenuous in the smoke.
As for that 80-year-old mother-in-law who was rushed to the hospital this morning, the good news is she's now on a plane from Albuquerque to Chicago to stay with some family out there until this smoke clears out, doctor's orders. Also, we have really good news to report tonight. La Plata County Sheriff's Department is telling us that some of the evacuation orders will be lifted at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's for 184 homeowners on the northern edge of this fire up near the Purgatory Resort. Good news there. We're live in Durango. Russell Haythorne, Denver 7.
Yeah, big relief for those folks. Thank you, Russell. We're also keeping watch on the Burro Fire. That one's burning 10 miles west of the 416 fire in the San Juan National Forest.
And that one's nearly doubled in size in the last 24 hours. It's now burning 3,000 acres. Crews have not been able to make really any progress at all on this one, and there is a growing concern this one will combine with the 416 fire. Chief Meteorologist Mike Nelson joins us now.
And Mike, this is just early that we're on this fire watch.
This is July heat without the June moisture.
Yeah.
Take a look at the temperatures right now. It's 90 currently down at Durango at the top of the hour and 95 degrees at Grand Junction. We're in the 80s here, but we've climbed a few degrees after a cooler day yesterday. Humidity is nowhere, folks. 6% down in the Durango area and only in the teens up in the Summit County area. And the winds, although they're going to calm down a little bit, they've been kind of gusty just in the last few hours, mostly coming out of the northwest up on the west side of the divide and out the southeast over the eastern plains. So we had a lot of turbulence in the wind flow out there. As far as the haze, that continues even in the Denver area. We have an ozone alert here. Evening, we'll have isolated storms mainly to the south and east of the Denver area. You can see a few of them forming here down in Elbert County. I'll keep a watch on those. Otherwise, not a whole lot of moisture across the rest of the state. That is going to change, though, later this week. I'll have details in just a few minutes.
And we've been sending out alerts all day as things change with all of these fires. To get those notifications straight to your phone, be sure and download the free Denver 7 app. For the second time in as many days, a judge has refused to throw out charges against a Cherry Creek school administrator accused of failing to tell police about a student who said a teacher sexually assaulted her. Prairie Middle School principal David Gonzalez's attorney asked today to have the case dismissed, arguing the grand jury did not have probable cause to indict him. The judge disagreed, just as she did yesterday when Vice Principal Adrian McIntosh was in court.
Tonight, new and stunning allegations of racism at a well-known Christian school. A student described seeing a classmate wearing a KKK outfit and putting a toy revolver to a minority student's head.
Teresa Marchetta first exposed concerns over racial indifference at Faith Christian Academy back in March when a veteran teacher was fired after organizing a discussion on race, and now he's taking action.
Well, Teresa is back with these new details and with the momentum to force change at the school.
Students are speaking out.
And they make me feel like, oh, this is not a problem. It's your problem. You're making this an issue.
Alumni are going on the record.
The only time that it was really brought up by me, nothing really happened.
When I graduated from FCA, I believe the families and students impacted by racism at the school.
Parents are organizing.
I believe you, and we hear you.
The Truth at FCA Instagram feed is filling up with those sharing incidents of racism at Faith Christian Academy in Arvada. Former teacher and chaplain Greg Tucker is taking it further. He says he was fired for trying to address racism on campus, something school officials deny. But just days ago, he filed discrimination charges against FCA and Faith Bible Chapel International with the Colorado Division of Civil Rights and the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And still, new statements are coming to light, months after our initial reports on Tucker's firing and concerns of blatant racism at the school. Statements like this one from a Faith Christian Academy high school athlete who describes an incident during last year's football camp. He says a student dressed in an FCA shirt came down the hallway with a white bed sheet over his head. It was easily understood as symbolic or in reference to a KKK outfit. He then proceeded to use a toy revolver to execute a racial minority member of the team by putting the toy revolver to the minority student's head. The student goes on to say he and other witnesses reported the incident right after it happened, but that nobody was punished and the person who dressed up as KKK was still allowed to play for the rest of the season. There are dozens of statements, nearly 40 and counting, from current and former students documenting what appears to be decades of systemic bias and discrimination. Beth L. says, I graduated from FCA in 1997, and during my time there faced racism, classism, sexism, and very serious episodes of sexual harassment from other students that went unpunished. I have come to view the school as a very dangerous environment that harms the students who don't fit in the categories of white, rich, and Christian.
FCA Superintendent Andrew Hawes said he didn't have time to sit down for an interview, but in an email said his administrative team and board dedicated hundreds of hours to address concerns and followed up on each one, taking strong corrective action where needed. He also said that future training and revising the student handbook are in the works to add clarification that racism has no place in their school. Shannon?
Therese Marchetta tonight. For the second time in 3 years, a Denver family's home flooded because of a water main break, and the city says it's not going to pay for all of it. Now, the house first flooded in 2015, causing some $40,000 in damages. The Dugans say they couldn't get back in their home for 4 months. And this week it happened again, and they're looking at now 6 months out of their home this time. Well, Denver Water did not pay for displacement expenses the first time, and they say Denver Water told them this when it flooded this most recent time.
You assume risk when you live in a city that has water, and I assume that they won't pay for housing or any of the property that was lost.
Denver Water only paid the family for about $8,000 for that first break. The company says they are working with them right now to set them up since they will be displaced for so long. So we will make sure they keep their word.
The FBI agent whose gun went off at a Denver bar hitting a man has now been charged and could face even more charges. Chase Bishop turned himself into Denver police this afternoon. He's now charged with second-degree assault. And you've all seen the video by now. The Washington, D.C. based agent was here visiting for training, and when he did a backflip, his gun fell. It fired, hitting a bystander in the leg. Well, the Denver DA says more charges could be filed depending upon the results of a blood alcohol content test, and those results are not back just yet. A new report shows Colorado could be on the hook for $26 billion if cities and counties ban energy development. The issue of oil and gas is such a complicated one here in our growing Colorado. Right now, we're talking specifically about the Wattenberg Field. It's the area of space north of Denver, surrounded by Greeley, Boulder, and Broomfield. Untapped minerals there are estimated to be worth about $180 billion, and royalties would bring in $26 billion to mineral owners. Well, the Colorado Alliance of Mineral and Royalty Owners claims those owners could lose out on all that revenue if mineral rights are restricted, and says if that's the case, then the state should have to pay that money back to the owners. We do have a crew at this meeting tonight, and we will have more for you tonight on Denver 7 at 10.
Right now, Broomfield City Council is holding a public hearing and a vote on potential changes to oil and gas regulations. Some of the changes include having operators pay for outside consultants to review applications and giving the city the ability to suspend permits if the city thinks an operator is breaking the rules. So a vote is still some time off tonight, but we are monitoring it. We'll let you know what happens. Dockless bikes could be expanding beyond Denver to Boulder.
I think it's really just an evolution.
Many people say Colorado is not the place you go in search of seafood. Why, that's all changing now.
And the couple at the center of a viral, controversial wedding photo speaking out tonight. They say they don't want to distract from the devastation in Durango with the 416 fire.
Next on Denver 7.